I always run into a wall. So once again, I'm just here to ask why. Thank you.
Here, good afternoon. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Again, I lived in Pemberton Borough for like about 6 years, so now I'm back in Sunbury Village. I'm at 153 Linden Avenue, and I like it here very much, and I seem to be very comfortable.
And your name?
Jerry Sutton, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton.
I'm so used to everybody knowing me. I don't want
It needs to get recorded.
You're right. Well, anyway, and I enjoy myself living where I live at, and I get along with the neighbors and everybody else out there. But like people say, there was two shooting out there. There was one killer. There was one boy who just got shot, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And these are people not even really, they don't, if you really want to know the truth, they don't, the shootings and the killings, the people do not live in that neighborhood. They brought their trouble to our neighborhood. So this is where we need to come together as a community to get together, not just you. The people who live in Sunbury just as well as the people who can help us here get together in Sunbury. As I noticed, I thought there was a curfew out there for the young kids to be in their house a certain time. That's not being pushed. That should be pushed a little more. I stayed up one time at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking at 8, 9 years old, 10 years old kids walking around. And it just got to stop. All I just ask, we need to enforce that law a little more than we do, so we can get these kids back on track. That's the problem we have. And another problem we have speeders. That sometimes you think they're an actual racetrack when they're coming back, past my street on Linden Avenue. And, like the lady said, we do need speed bumps out there. We really do. We need something slow to enforce them because one of them little kids is going to get killed or hurt by one of these speeders riding down that street. I see it every day. I sit on my front porch when I come home from work, and I see it all the time. Before I came here, I seen like 3 of them. But this needs to be stopped. Because somebody, like I say, somebody go get seriously hurt, not just a kid, it could be an older person on a bike, could be an elder or something, anybody, And another thing, about changing the name in Sunbury Village, it's not a bad idea. If it's going to work for Sunbury Village, why not give it a try? And by putting cameras out there, they catch the shooters, they catch the people who rob people's house, and people do different stuff. Maybe the crime will cut down a little more from what's going on out there. Just like they say, there's crisis out there. People are breaking into people's houses, stealing meat, stealing all kinds of stuff, and selling it to the neighbor or the next person. And who they sell it to? They sell it to the drug dealers. That's what's going on out there. I know you guys got a lot of things to do. You got this. I appreciate the mayor. You're doing a good job. I think you really are. I appreciate being here and you guys hearing everybody out. But like I say, it's not like we beg for help, but we need help. We actually need help in Sunbury Village. So I'm just asking, as a citizen of Sunbury Village, if you can understand what I'm saying tonight, can you please just go out and help? Or even come out yourself and see what's going on in there. Another problem I got a problem with the trash people. The man, they come out there and they dump the trash, take away the trash, not leaving trash, but they look at the neighborhood, and they say, oh, it's just a Sunbury, so who cares? I called them, they trash something 3 times, nothing is done about it. They would dump the trash. I know they'd be pissed off because I know some people don't use trash bags. I can understand it. I mean, you're still getting paid to pick up the trash, whether they use trash bags or not. So if you know they don't use trash bags, why turn the can upside down and put trash on the street? I took pictures of everywhere they stopped, and just about everywhere they stopped at, they turned the can upside down, guess what? Oh, chicken bone, dog food, all kinds of stuff. And it needs to stop, that needs to stop too. I question for the sweeper to come in, and we need the sweeper. We do need the sweeper to come in and clean up because you have a lot of kids who do trash the street. I mean, they get the trash, and then you got the trash man, he trash the street. So we living in a trash spot. So if somebody can take that into consideration and start doing something about that, that'd be appreciated. And we need to come together as unity. You guys and Sunbury Village people who live out there need to get together with their kids. They need to get together their stuff, be more clean, more decent, cut the grass, keep the cars off the lawn. The place will be beautiful again. It would be good. But we need your help so you can enforce it. We need tickets given out to show these people that we are for real. We want to live decent like everybody else want to live decent. Don't look at us because it's Sunbury Village. We're not slumberries.
Right.
All right? We are people like anybody else. And what we're doing is coming here tonight as a community. We need help. We need people to learn to cut their grass. We need the people who own houses out there to make sure their tenants cut their grass. Keep the cars off the lawn. That's what we need. So the thing is, I'm not here to fight with no landlord, or fight with the mayor. I like both of them. They both know. So therefore, I'm just saying, come together as unity. Let's unity together, work together. That's all I want. And that's all we need. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton.
Hi, my name is Michelle Ayala, and I'm coming here as a private citizen along with Hilda Brown, speaking in reference to the Family Day in the Park. Now, this Family Day in the Park started when Carolyn Lyons used to do this on a yearly basis. I do not recall it being an issue as we're starting to have now. And if it's a civic association that wants to be a part of this, and they know that we do this Family Day in the Park, why aren't they coming together? Why is it every time that we try to do this Family Day in the Park, it gets shut down for this reason or that reason? The Civic Association would continue to do their little day in the park. It could be a united thing. But because you have one person standing up for community, as Carolyn Lyons stood up for many years, there was never an issue. We have people coming in from all out of town looking forward, and that's one of the problems that are happening with our kids because we still stay united. We still stay united. I've been out in Lake Valley Acres since 1969. Our neighbors became our best friends. So we know there was a bond there. So Hilda has carried on the legacy. God bless her that Carolyn Lyons has started. And she's done a phenomenal job. But if we keep our community together, doing these activities, seeing that positiveness, maybe these kids can see what we're doing and start to walk in our tracks and stop walking in the tracks that they're seeing in the bad direction. But see, it's blocking an activity that everybody's looking forward to. What does that do? Put somebody back down in the slum. This isn't what this township is supposed to be about. And if we're going to do, through the Civic Association, through Hilda Brown and Family Day in the Parks, why don't we come together as one unit and set this forth and let it be repetitive? Every year, Carolyn Lyons had Family Day in the Park. We had Funkadelic, the whole 9 yards. We would do fundraisers. We would do dances at BCC. We would be knocking on doors. We did floats for the homecoming. We kept the youth together, but somehow, some way, that's gotten divided. And because we've had this foundation, we're trying to continue it. But somehow, some way, throughout a positive mode, somebody just wants to step on you like an ant. And this is why these kids are not growing up. Because there's always a stumbling block. And how hard is it to put some music in a park, hamburgers on a grill, and then you have some honest fun? That's the problem. We grew up with honest fun. Okay? we need to bring back together. We need to bring this community back together. Stop dwelling on this, that, and the other, because if they see us as the adults pulling it together, the children follow with their parents. So if the parents aren't there, they don't have no guidelines. So it takes us to do this. It takes a community. It takes a village. So I say to each and everybody that's sitting here on this board, the mayor, the councilwoman, councilman, etc., let's be the village. Okay? And stand for something or stand for nothing at all. But stop kicking us down when we're trying to stand for something. And we deserve this. We're not asking the township for any money. We've gotten donations. We're doing this on our own. And you want to go 4 days. If she would have waited 4 days, it would have been something wrong. But why is it we can't do this together? Civic Association, join us on Saturday. Put the grill up. Serve your hamburgers and hot dogs. It's not a division. It's us together. United we stand and divided we fall. So let's bring this together. I mean, that's the only way we can do this. We can't keep this backstabbing this. It's like poop floats downhill. We're trying to stay afloat. We've had enough of it. If we don't do it as a community, it's not going to get done. And things like this is why things get stopped. If something positive is made into looking to something bad, we haven't asked a dime from anybody from the township. A dime. But yet they want to soap us down again. But it's going to get done. I hope to see y'all there.
My name is Derek Davis. I'm also from Lake Valley. University Park, as you may know it. My family moved here in 1972. Been there the last 45 years. You've already heard about some of the concerns from Lake Valley about that park. But that park is the concern I have is, in that community, to my knowledge, this is the only park in Pemberton Township that is chained and bolt locked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For what reason? I've never been able to get an answer. It's chained and bolt locked. People don't want to let their children go there. Because if you ride by and you look at it, you say something's got to be wrong. To the township, to the mayor. I've seen the mayor at events in Lake Valley, in the park. As soon as that event is over, the chains and the bolt locks go right back on. Nobody wants to see that in their community. What's so bad about Lake Valley that we have to keep a park bolt locked and chained 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Sir, please address the council.
I want everybody to hear this.
Oh, well, they can hear you, trust me.
Okay? But I just want to know why. I'm willing to stay as long as I have to. Direct me to whoever I have to go to and just ask the question. We don't have, I mean, there's crime everywhere. We don't have an ordinance of that in Lake Valley. The residents try to look out for each other. But again, my only question is, why is our park chained and bolt locked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? That's all I ask. Someone, please, direct me to whom I have to ask to get an answer about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Davis.
Hello, my name is Kyle Chapman.
Hello.
And I'm a resident of Pemberton Township. Just recently moved back to Pemberton Township. I'm from Pemberton. I lived out here in Sunbury years ago. And I moved to Burlington. I've been living in Burlington for 14 years. And I'm back to Sunbury. The reason why I'm back to Sunbury is because Mr. Cole was doing it upstairs. All right. You gotta excuse me because I get a little emotional when I have to explain stuff. So please accept my apology. on in Sunbury. I can give you the rundown of everything. The police department is doing their job, because I see them patrolling in front of my house every 15 minutes. I see them swinging by, trying to keep these kids off the street, trying to keep what's going on. But it's us as adults, it's us who live in Sunbury, who need to get with our children to stop this. Yes, we do need speed bumps. Speed bump stops all the speeders to come through. I got little kids. I'm right now raising my two twin grandsons. I'm doing the best that I can to try to take care of them. I'm scared for them to go out. They're not allowed, they can't even go to the sidewalk. Don't even go to the sidewalk. Y'all allowed to stay in the grass area or in the backyard. And I'm scared of that. My house been broken into twice. I've only been here a year. Twice. Mr. Gold said, hey, what do you think about cameras? I got cameras now. Okay? I live right behind Peter, which is my neighbor. He has cameras. I got cameras. I'm saying this. I know it costs a lot to buy cameras. It ain't that much. $50 to get cameras. I live in Sunbury. If anybody needs cameras put up in their home, come talk to me. I'll do it for free. That's it.
Dave.
Dave.
Hi, my name is Sharon. I was here before about a month ago, and I talked about when my son was young, and yada, yada, yada. Well, since then, there's these wonderful little kids that like to get a metal bat or a pole or whatever and just knock down everybody's mailboxes. I got the video right here. There you go. Last I checked, that was a federal offense. Then, after that, I caught two kids, since they just stole something, playing with flares in front of my house, and one says, don't throw it at the white people's house. In my little area, me and my son were the only white people. Everybody else isn't. And then as soon as someone yelled, cop coming, of course everybody runs. Come to find out, I'm talking to my neighbor, and I look at my backyard for something because I see something, and it was two kids hiding because the cops were coming, because of the flare incident. So, as they're walking by, my son's watching them go by, and they're laughing. Like it's a joke. They live across the street from me. Something needs to be done. Last I checked, the CEO says 4 people living in a place. This people has 15 to 20 people. There's 3 cars, 15 to 20 people. These little kids, not even 2 years old, running around in a diaper or whatever, all over the place. This is right. Look, yes, I agree. The police is doing their job. I highly commend what they're doing. But it goes further than that. The chief of police, and so on. Why can't anything else be done? I understand you just got more recruits. Yay. You should have done that a long time ago. Things need to be done. I agree, speed bumps would help. These cameras. Barnegat Township has cameras. It solved a lot of problems. Has anything been done? Because nobody's filled out any grants. You got a grant for the Pemberton Township. What about the grant for here? What about, has anything been solved? Has any murders been solved? Because everybody's busy doing whatever. There's been 7 murders, and nothing has been done. It's been years. Look at the robberies. I was watching my neighbor's house. He went away for 2 days. I was watching his house. I come out, and I find his air conditioner not in the window. I'm like, oh no. I go in the backyard, in the back door. The air conditioner's there. Someone was nice enough to set it as they pushed it in and set it on the couch, leaving it on for the dog. Now, that's the way to do a robbery? You call the police, they do come, I'm not knocking it. but then they don't follow up until the next day, that afternoon to take care of the paperwork. Things need to be changed. They really do, because this is really sloppy. I came from Ocean County, and it's not like that. My father-in-law used to be mayor. I give him credit. He was a wonderful mayor compared to somebody else. I give him credit. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of Mystical. I'm not one of the second communities. Yes, I can pass up and go to Benton and live, but I'm going to stay here because I'm a Pemberton Township resident. I'm going to ask y'all, how many more lives have to be taken before y'all do something? I ask each and every one of y'all going to come spend 48 hours in my home? I'll be here for 48 hours. Come right through Sunbury. Make your presence known. Just don't sit there and listen to what we're saying. Why don't y'all come ride out yourselves? You need a ride? I'll come pick you up. Start you off 4 o'clock, I'll be here. Stop listening to what's talk. Come sit out and ride through Sunbury and live what we have to live through day in, day out. You think it's a boom on TV? No, it's not. It's a boom out in front of your front door. Cop presence? Nah. Yeah, after a shoot, you see them for about a day and a half. Then they're gone. How many more lives have to be taken before something gets done? Yeah, it starts at home. Can't watch every child. It's parent responsibility. There was an ordinance at 10 o'clock. Kids should be off the street. Start making these parents be held liable. Johnny walking down the street at 10 o'clock with the cops on patrol, take him home. Find the parents. Start making it harder for them. That you'll keep their kid off the street. They can only take us so many times. Or start arresting the kids for juvenile. Take them down. If the parents don't want to do something, then y'all need to step in and do something. You see a kid walking around the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, pick him up. Most folks ride past like a do-do-do-do-do. Because that's what some of the officers do. They ride by just to make their presence known. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. No. Got it. Good evening.
My name is Pamela Rabb. I'm a resident of Lake Valley. I've been here since 1972. I'm very proud of my community that we come together as a whole, opposed to putting one to rest. Hilda has taken the initiative to come to unify us together so that we don't say farewell, we say hello. However, good to see you long time. I would love to see this continue on a regular basis. I would love to see us all come together and unify as one, not have this, not have that, but come together as one so that we can see this on a continuous basis and have fun and have love. That's what it's about. We're supposed to show love to each other. We're not supposed to be at one another's throats. We should love each other. We should be understanding. We should stand for each other. We should be there for each other. Lake Valley is home to a lot of us. The family day is not just for Lake Valley, it's for Browns Mills, it's for Roseland, it's for Burlington, everybody. It's everybody. We all come together. Some of us haven't seen each other in years, so we look forward to coming to this event on this one special day so that we can come see each other. This one day, we may not see each other again. You see them now, but you won't see them again. I'm just asking, can we just all come together and unify this and make it a whole, make it a good day for all of us.
Thank you.
Valley Acres, 219 Harvard Avenue, and I am one of the old school charter members of the Lake Valley Civic Association. And my husband and I moved out to Lake Valley from the base. It was nothing but farmland. But anyway, I'm proud of my community, and I'm here to support Hilda Brown. She called me today very upset. I didn't know all what was taking place, but I do want to say I would that the township has always supported the Lake Valley Civic Association. Perhaps she's a lone star, but she is part of Lake Valley. I was upset because I thought it was very inappropriate that she only had 7 days or whatever, notification that the event could not take place because of different things that wasn't in place. I would that the township would continue to work with people from Lake Valley or interested in our community in terms of our young people getting things started. Like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs, but she did mention some things to me. This young lady is very talented in terms of working with the community. Many of the charter members from Civic Association are deceased. I might be the only one left. I don't know. But anyway, I intend to work with her. I've been busy. I've been back and forth to Florida and what have you. But I intend to work with Ms. Brown to make sure that this generation of children growing up in Lake Valley will have a legacy of Lake Valley in terms of fun, getting together, being together, and enjoying the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask a question? You're going to open up the can of worms.
Can we do it after?
What's that?
We can do it after.
Yeah, but they'll all leave. Once you get into your business, they're going to leave.
I think
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Pauline.
Yeah.
I'm from Sunbury.
Well, yes, just do it public.
I was sitting in the back, so I couldn't hear well what was being said up here. But the one lady was talking about flares being shot in the neighborhood. I don't know if she said Sunbury Village or not. Yep. Okay. My house was just set afire. The night that they were shooting them in the middle of the street. This is the second time I've had a fire in my house. From fireworks before, the investigators that came out, I explained to them that I had talked to the boys that had been across the street from me. That night, I just drove in from North Carolina, had been down there for a while. And I explained, I heard stuff hitting the top of my house. And I went outside and I saw where it was coming from and I yelled at them and I said, don't shoot any more of those fireworks over. I said, if I see anything wrong with my house tomorrow morning, I will sign a complaint with this. Oh, they apologized and everything. I came back in the house. I got ready and I went to bed. I woke up with 5 fire trucks by my house. Police was banging on my door up there with the fire company banging on my door with a hatchet or something because it had things all in it where they had knocked. And they had actually shot a fire rocket up between 2 panels in the A-frame. The people that came out and investigated questioned me more than they did the kids across the street that shot. They wanted to know why was I in North Carolina? Why was this not done? Or why was that done? I had some stuff packed up and they had to actually cut a hole in the ceiling. But at the time, I was staying down in North Carolina, but I kept my house here and I would come on the weekends. Well, as long as I was down there, I was here at least every month. Because I didn't actually move to stay down there. I was staying between the two places at the time because there was still within my family. Okay. The policeman was chasing a guy that was, I don't know if he was selling drugs and they got behind him or speeding or what. But they was chasing him. He knocked down one of my brick colonies. Today, I still haven't got 5 cents, but that brick colony was replaced. I'll talk to the township about it.
they told me that I had to get in touch with the person that owned the truck. And they were supposed to get it. They gave me an address. I went to the house several times. Nobody never answered for me, so I never got the car you put up. I had flower pots across the front of my house on each side where the step back is. I had paid to get flower boxes, brick boxes put all the way across there. Grown men walked past there and went in those boxes so much I had to take them up. I had to pay someone to put them down, then I had to turn around and pay to have to take them, have them torn down. About not quite, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, a flare was shot over my window on this side of the house. Anybody driving down the highway right now, down Lemon, can see it. It actually burnt through to the wood. And I thought maybe it was a mistake, somebody had made a mistake and decided to drop another fire rocket, and I found out afterward they were shooting flares up. Now, my question is it against the law for these people to shoot fireworks in New Jersey? I thought it was the law that said they shouldn't have them in New Jersey unless they had a permit or some kind of off or something.
The mayor would know that.
Is it a law or not?
Yeah.
Mayor's saying yes, that's from his police days.
So what do you do with these children when they're recorded? Because sometimes it's children, sometimes it's adults. 2 years ago, I had to yell out after the guys that was actually shooting fireworks and throwing them over towards Mrs. Cleveland's car. And her car was up beside her house in the driveway.
I can only advise you, Mrs. Smith, to call the police, because they're the only
I
ones.
called them.
They're the only ones that can enforce it. We, as the mayor and council, can't enforce that.
I called the policeman a couple of weeks ago when I saw this person. You know, a lot of times they'll say, well, who was it? We got people in and out there so much until you don't even know your next door neighbors sometimes. They are here this month and gone next month. And there's no way you can keep up with the children that's out here. Plus the people that live out there got a game coming from someplace else, and there's no drugs and everything else. And then as soon as you do something to them, the person is going to be running for them. I had problems before, and I actually had to tell the cop if he was called to my house again, that he could bring his handcuffs for me. I actually got in my car. I'm serious. I got in my car. I had just got a new car, and they had this big wall that has the hole in the top where they can set on and bounce. They actually was out there bouncing that wall against my car. And I went out and tried to talk to them. And they gave me the answers and everything else. And I called the cops. They went out in front of the house and they stopped. So first the cops came out and he talked to them, and they didn't move from the street where they were. I said, as soon as you leave, they're going to be right back here. So I just actually told him, I said, well, be honest. I said, both, when they came up here and was doing the same thing, and I got behind them, they ran, I got in my car. And if I had caught them on the sidewalk, I would have ran them down. I had just that much hurt. You know, when you keep talking to people's children, the people know what their children are doing, and they don't do anything about it. That's what makes so many people take the law in their own hands. And when I told him that, he called the children back, and this one little boy, she's threatening us now. So I told him, I said, no, that's not a threat, that's a promise. I said, if I catch you in my yard again, I will sue you, of course.
Ms. Smith, I need you to wrap up your comments, please.
Yes, I'm ready to wrap it up too, but I haven't gotten any answers as to what to do.
You can talk, there's a police officer right at the back of the room. He can help you with any suggestions that he might have. There's a police officer right at the back of the room. He can help you with any suggestions he might have.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say something. Get on board. You're voted in to do a job. Do it. Listen to the people. Thank God it all came out. Because you need to listen. You really do. Do my job. Stop being pulled on the bill. You got major issues. You do now. So here.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, no, my name is Rick Giroux. I'm the one that got pistol whipped. That's my mom back there. And I just want to say about the unsolved murder, I think you should step up and do something about it. And for the cameras being somewhere, I think that will help a lot. And to identify the people who live there too. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Adams.
Hi.
I've been living in Pemberton Township for over 30 years. I know Chico personally. I've been in Pemberton for about 20 years. Downtown. As far as the surveillance cameras, I agree with 100%. I grew up in, when I was in high school, I lived in University Park Apartments. It was bad out there at one point in time. We saw hands and this, that's where everybody smoked weed, drink and stuff like that. Just drink water, cut one of the entrances off. Now, on the one way in, there's cameras up there, there's nothing going down the way down. At least in that part. It's real quiet out there now. Nothing goes on out there. Sunbury, my problem is, and I think why a lot of people, a lot of kids are out there acting up. When we was growing up, we used to go to the college, pay $5 to swim all day. There was things for us to do. There's nothing for kids to do. Y'all put a tennis court out in Pemberton and Sunbury. But kids in Sunbury don't play tennis. I don't know. They put a skate park out there. Nobody on skateboard in Pemberton. They play football out there. The cops would go over there, sit in the parking lot. They wouldn't let them play basketball all day long. Everybody had a problem with hanging out there and stuff like that. Now the kids don't have nothing to do. Be out there terrorizing the neighborhood. You can't go to Wawa at night without people begging. You can't go to 7-Eleven without people begging. I go to the Mac machine across the street from the Wawa. I come outside, a crackhead sitting on my car begging for money. There's no cop in sight, nothing at all. But like I said, as far as the surveillance cameras, I support it 100%. The landlords can't be held responsible for everything the tenants do. They're not there, especially people who live in Ventnor, that you have who live, doesn't live in town. A lot of landlords don't live in this township, so they don't know what's going on. Everybody's going to tell the landlords what's going on because they're scared that somebody's going to retaliate for them. And as far as if we do get surveillance cameras on a house, they tell us that we only can watch our property. We can't put it out in the street. So the email that I seen for him to put them on his property really doesn't matter if we can't patrol anything that's going out in the street. You only want us to watch our property only. My house was broken into, and I lived in Browns Mills now for 17 years. My house got broken into 3 times. I caught the guy on camera. I told the cops about it. Nothing ever happened. So never got a follow-up call. I had a shooting at my house. Then there was 5 bounty hunters. I submitted the video to Mr. Goldberg. I submitted to somebody here in Pemberton Township Police Department. The cops never came back to my house. They never said anything about it. Bounty hunters came to my house with a gun, and shot at my husband's car and my daughter's car. We never got a phone call. Never was able to press charges on it, damages or anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, we close this portion of the meeting to the public. I've been asked by council to have a chance to respond, so we'll start at this end.
Oh, start on because I have a lot.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes, I have a couple of things. I'm sorry to see a couple of the people left that I really wanted to ask questions about. One was regarding the the family reunion thing. What I wanted to say about that was I did get a copy. I don't know if all of council has a copy, but we do have a copy of the application that Ms. Brown submitted, and the type of event that she placed on here said a family reunion. and she put on there 70 people. She did not indicate that she wanted the park or anything like that. So I'm a little confused, and again, she's not here for me to ask the questions, if anyone sees her in the hallway, to ask the questions that I would like to ask about that. I don't believe, until she comes, I don't believe in administration or council would ever want to not have or not support a family day function. She's gone, officer, she's gone. Would not like to support an family day function. I would love to ask her why she thinks the thing was blocked. It's my understanding it's not blocked. She can still have her event. I'll move on to some other questions to give her an opportunity to answer those for me. I know, a lot of the residents here talked about speed bumps. I know that's something that we have talked about before and possibly can, have administration look into it again or make a comment about that when you're ready to do that as well. As far as code enforcement, we have, correct me, Mayor, just hired 2 more code enforcement officers. Is that correct?
We hired 2 new, and we have 1 more coming.
So we have 3. Again, I'm bringing that up because of all the comments that was brought forth this evening about code enforcement. So that, you could take that back to your areas. Hopefully that answers a lot of the questions pertaining to that. The chained fence at Lake Valley Park, has that always been chained, Mayor? Chained?
The park is...
The park I know is
Park has
open, but I believe... Oh,
nobody's being prevented from going into the park. He's
not there.
Well, we're going to answer his question.
I was addressing your situation, sir. You was compassionate about the chain being on the park. As you know, because you live in Lake Valley, as do I, the park itself is not locked off. It's that area where cars go through. Am I correct, Mayor?
The area that's chained off is the access area for Public Works to maintain the park. The park is accessible. There is a walk bridge across the park currently. We are in the process, but a very difficult process because we're battling pinelands. If anyone has ever dealt with them, they'll understand our frustration to put a larger walkway into the park across the infamous ditch that we're having trouble with there, also with pinelands. But we're trying to make the back section of the park more accessible. It's always been open. There has been history in the park of problems when people get back here and they can't be seen, but it's never been closed off for those reasons. It's always been accessible. We do have fenced areas in other parts of the community that have gates that are chained off. Presidential Lakes has a park, and although it's not always chained because I believe sometimes they forget to put the chain back on after they do the maintenance, but those access points are also supposed to be secured. And the open access points, the parks are always accessible. We don't close the parks to the public.
So I hope that helps answer your question, sir.
Yes, as Councilman Cartier is referring to, the parks are only open from dusk to dawn. They're not dawn to dusk. Yes. So yeah, they're not nighttime parks. I apologize for that. But yes, our ordinance requires that you have to be out when it gets dark, and the parks are accessible.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I hope that helps you some, sir. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know who, I think it was Miss Phillips, asked about, do the police notify residents of pedophiles that come in the area? Can you answer that, Mayor? Are they notified of that? I don't want to put the officer on the spot.
Officer Doyle's here, and he may know the more current standards, but there is a standard for certain levels of convicted child molesters or individuals that have committed crimes, sexual crimes of that nature, to notice the public, and you have to reach certain tiers to notice the public. Not all individuals are required notice, but there are certain tiers that are reached. That requirement is is mandatory, and our police do notice. And it's not every resident. The law doesn't allow the town to go out and notice every resident. It's within a certain radius from that individual's home, and the police do take care of that.
Okay, thank you. I guess she's not gonna come. She's not gonna be able to come in. Is she still out there? No, Miss Brown. All right. I'm going to say one more thing related to that, and then I'm going to pass it on to the next person. As far as Lake Valley Civic Association, I am one of the officers on that committee that we have done, I don't know, when's the last time we did the Family Day, Mayor? Maybe 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago. She is correct. I know Ms. Lyons had started that event, but the association had to follow the same paperwork that we had, or that was requested of Ms. Brown to file. Lake Valley Civic Association had a few members come here and there. They come out when something happens. I know you, ma'am, Ms. Rabb, I believe your name is. I know you said you were one of the original persons. Great, we would love to have people come out, but people don't come out. As you well know, they only come out when something bad or something personally affects them. I think the community day in Lake Valley is awesome, but again, that's not what she put on the application. The application said it was a family reunion of 70 people. 70 people family reunion is night and day compared to how she explained it, family day or people coming who used to live here. I'm not opposed to it. It's just that proper paperwork had to be presented. Again, I would love to ask her question as to why she think it's not going on, or for whatever reason is. I spoke to Mr. Gonzalez, and he said to me that it is not canceled. The township administration has not canceled the event. So I'm not sure where that is either, but I can't ask her because she's not here. Mr. Gonzalez?
If I may, I think there's some of the folks are confused about the event. The application, the reason that a question was raised a few days ago is because it came to my attention that there was a large event with many hundreds of people being planned for the park, and the application that we have been given, we didn't even know that that was happening. The application that Ms. Brown submitted was for the rental of the Dominique Johnson building, and only the building. That's all she asked for, and she put a family reunion for 50 adults and 20 children, and she filed that application for the building. So once we found out that this either was intended or turned into an invitation to 700 people to come out into the park for exclusive use of the park, that's a problem for a variety of reasons, including public safety, facilities, comfort facilities, all sorts of reasons, let alone that you need a different kind of application to be able to use the park, and ultimately that comes to council for approval like a parade would, and you need a public hearing to see if the people really are on it. So we were not in a position to tell Ms. Brown earlier than a few days ago that she couldn't do what she wanted to do, because she never told us what she wanted to do. We didn't know about it.
But if the form was submitted in March, how come they weren't notified that it was the wrong form?
We didn't know whether they were planning anything different. That's the point.
He just said they just found out a couple of days ago that it was.
If you submit a request to use our buildings for a specific use and it's a permitted use, we have no reason to go into interrogation to question you as to what you're gonna do there any more than we would for anyone else for that specific use, and we would give you the guidelines for that. But when it turns in to something much greater, and it was brought to our attention, it had to be addressed as something totally different than what it was represented.
And I think we all can agree you can't go by Facebook. I mean, you could put stuff on Facebook and 500 people could say they can come, but even if 100 people or 150 people came, that would still present a problem because she only requested the building itself, is what I understand, not the park. I do think, if I may, I do think, because I think she said and another person said, if they could have talked and worked this thing out. So my question to administration is, has Ms. Brown or anyone that is a part of her organization I would have to be Ms. Brown, she filed the application, came to talk to you even today, even as early as today, to try and work something out?
Well, it isn't a matter of working something out, because I have no application for the use of the park.
Okay, I'm just
No, I understand that, but let's not get to the point where we're sort of saying, okay, now it came to our attention a couple days ago. We've had our director of recreation speaking to her over the past several days, and she even has acknowledged that as of 2 days ago, 184 people had RSVP'd to that event that we didn't even know about. I got calls from two people, one from Georgia and one from South Carolina, wanting an explanation as to what was going on, that this community event was being canceled. We didn't know there was a community event. She applied for a personal family reunion in one of our buildings and paid for it and was given permission to do it. There was no reason for us to communicate with her except, this is when you have to come in to get the keys. And this is the code for the fire alarm and the security code. And here's a copy of the rules and regulations. We couldn't give her information about a community event because she never told us there was going to be a community event. And a community event in a park is an assembly under Chapter 136 of the Township Code. It requires a permit just like a parade would, and we'd have to take it to police and fire and EMS to make sure that there are public safety services. If we had known, we could have talked to her about comfort facilities, porta potties. We could have talked to her about a variety of things that might have been helpful, that would have been helpful. Ultimately, I think it's a great idea, but only if we know about it. We didn't know about it. So that's the problem. And under Chapter 136, an application not only has to be vetted in the way I described, but also has to come to council for a public hearing, which is too late to have.
Just like the one that's on the agenda tonight.
Correct.
And if I could give council an example of our willingness to see these type of events occur, first I'll go back to when I assisted with the Civics Association on several of these to make them successful, and all the planning and work all throughout the years to make them successful, and they were. I had two residents from Sunbury Village. Since there's so many Sunbury Village residents here, I'll address that. Mr. Sutton, who spoke earlier, and Jackie was here also, Lorraine's husband. He also met with me, and they came to me with the idea of having a picnic in the park. And they wanted to know how to do it, what they needed to do, what steps they had to go through, and I explained it all to them, and encouraged it. Said it's a great idea, but they understood that it wasn't going to be an easy task. That they had to follow the rules, and there are rules. And actually, one of the residents said something that struck me interesting when I took the note. And it had to do with rules. But if I find that, maybe I'll bring it in my statement at the end if I have something. But there's rules to be followed, and they weren't followed in this particular case, and it brought concerns for the protection of the township, in this particular incident, because if something's not properly planned, sure, you can't plan for everything. Things do happen, but we have things in place to try and protect the township so that we can ensure that we're not getting sued, that we're not paying money out of unnecessarily, and these rules weren't followed.
And we'll be happy to work with whomever in Lake Valley to plan something for an appropriate time under the appropriate conditions.
And just to clarify, a parade permit is not something that can be added to the agenda last minute like a lot of stuff that we do. It has to be advertised. It has to give the public an opportunity to know that there's a hearing on this application so that they have the time to come out and speak on it.
Yes, and that comment was made by Miss Ayala. Michelle made a comment how kids need guidelines and they need people to look up to. Well, it's basically saying kids got to have rules to follow, and that, you know, the parents need to set those rules. Well, the governing bodies of communities and our country in general set the rules for society, and that's what parents are supposed to follow.
You need a minute?
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to address a few of those concerns, and I think anything that gets community and family together is a great thing, and I would not want anyone to think that council would not want that to happen.
Mr. Allen, did you have anything or comments at this time?
I have some.
Okay.
Okay, let's start with the cameras again. Cameras are great. Cameras can help solve crime. Cameras can help capture crime. It's being monitored right on the spot. One of the residents said that they would have a problem giving the police footage of a crime that occurred. Well, you're not getting involved with your community then. You're part of the problem. If I have cameras in my house. If I see something happening and the police needs it, it's theirs. It's not there to just protect my house. It's for the neighborhood. And as far as Mr. Goldberg's concerned, you own so many residents, so many buildings. I would want to put cameras on there to protect my investment. It's like if I have my kids and I buy a car, I make sure it's insured. I make sure the brakes are working fine before I take them anywhere. It's your building. Protect your residents. Protect your tenants. It's not going to cost you that much. If we put cameras in, and this is just me saying this, we put cameras in as a township and let's say Sunbury, who's going to pay for it? And I'm sure if we put cameras in Sunbury and we got to raise the taxes, and it's going to cost Mr. Gerber more to pay taxes, guess what? He's going to raise your rent also to pay for those cameras. Some of you just barely making it, or just can make it. A lot of the residents here say they have their private homes in Sunbury. Put up a camera. A camera that has to be monitored on your phone. It could be there so as a deterrent.
Ma'am.
Just a second. Mr. Gore also mentioned cameras on the. Someone mentioned cameras on the University Park apartment complex. Private property. They saw the problem. They put up cameras to solve the problem. We can't go as a township and put cameras on private resident. If you put a camera in every street pole in Sunbury or wherever, the poles on one day spread out so far. What's going to happen in between? If you have a house here, and a house here, now the neighborhood is saturated. You put all these resources in Sunbury. What happens when you go into a room full of roaches? They go someplace else. You want to come to Pemberton in your neighborhood? And I'm sure there's a problem in Sunbury. We just can't. The camera is not the all-solving problem. It helps. We're talking about, a lot of parents are talking about Sunbury. Kids in the street, kids stealing from one house and selling it to the other house. Where are the parents? There might be a curfew, but guess what? If my kids are out there past the curfew or close to curfew, they're going to come inside. But if my kids are outside past curfew, it shouldn't be the police coming by and say, hey, let's take you inside. It should be the parents coming to pick these kids up. If somebody brings something home that you didn't produce in your home, a cell phone, a package of frozen meat like somebody said or whatever, where did you get it from? It's not ours, so it's like it's being condoned. And I said it before, the council administration can't legislate parent responsibility in the home. We just can't do that. Mr. Gore said landlords don't have the responsibility. I'm sorry, not you. Someone said the landlord shouldn't have the responsibility for what goes in the house. Of course they do. They're the one that's signing or affirming that this person, based on his credit check, based on his criminal history, based on this, based on that, yeah, I'm gonna let this person in my resident, in my unit, and then that's your responsibility. You gotta do it a check. You just can't let anybody into just to fill up an apartment or a house to keep it going.